All right, everybody, we are back with another episode of season 2 of the Afflatus. Today's guest is someone who has overcome insurmountable odds in the pursuit of a dream career. Aakanksha Manchanda is an actor, dancer, and choreographer based in Mumbai, India. Aakanksha was also the lead actress of The Doorbell, which is the first film I directed. In this episode, Akanksha talks about making a shift from engineering to creative arts, internalizing the process of character development, and rethinking artistic expression during global pandemic. So sit back, relax, and explore the inspiring journey of Akanksha Manchanda. Welcome to the show, Akanksha.
Thank you so much, Alok.
Great. So, what's your story?
My story is that I hail from a small town and I was bound to do engineering or being a doctor, but suddenly, through fate of events or whatever, I'm an actor and a dancer and now going into therapy, dance movement therapy.
I think I can relate to the idea of setting out to become an engineer, but making a pivot along the way. And here I am making movies and podcasts after all these years.
I know.
I think every kid in India starts off as thinking that I'll become a doctor or an engineer, but those things rarely come true. I feel these days.
Because that's the only choice you're given when you're a child. You're not exposed to more ideas. The more I got more exposed to different fields, and I just couldn't hold myself back. I'd been dancing all my life, but not professionally. So when I got a chance to get trained professionally, I didn't leave it.
How did your education play a role in helping you develop a career?
I think my education gave me people skills and a lot of technical skills. I think education is very important just because you want to be in arts doesn't mean that you don't educate yourself, and engineering at that level to be doing an internship, even to be in a corporate environment. I understood a lot of things. I got a different perspective altogether, because arts is not just about artists in this world alone, because we have to communicate with a lot of corporate sectors. We cater to these people. So I think I got a very I got to live that part for a bit, for 4 years. And I can, when I now connect to people, I really can, like, I can talk their language. I understand what they're coming from. And I think that will really help me when I finish my dance movement therapy, because I have a wider range of understanding in general of people, because I've been with various circles and various strata of society.
For me, it has also been the same, where I spent the first few years of my professional career in a corporate setting, and then set out to become a media professional. But I think I first saw you on an advertisement or a short film. I think you did for a brand where you are playing corporate professional, and you are. I think it's called Khana Khaya, right?
Yes, yes, it was an ad for a dosa product.
I just felt that you were comfortable in that position when you are, making a presentation or handling the discussions with other team members. And so, yeah, I guess a little bit of that is kind of reflective of what you took from your days in the corporate setting.
Yeah, definitely, because I got to intern for about 6 months in a big company like Siemens. So for me to see that, organizations working at such a level, and then artists trying to create a freelance career out of nothing, is similar to that. It's just based on different, different product. The principles, I think, are the same.
What's your definition of happiness?
I think it's a very broad and a very vague term to uh, talk about, because for me, happiness is also eating a good meal, or maybe finish a project and the client is happy. But I think at the end of the day, when I sleep, I just want to know that I've given my 200% to something that I did, and then I can grow tomorrow as well, because I the past 2 3 years my main major goal has been to grow in my art, grow as a person more, and then grow in my art, because that's reflecting, because that's where it comes from. So to know that this is what I set out to do today, and I've accomplished it, and I can do better. And I think that's happiness for me, to be able to know that I've given my 200% for something.
You know what is happiness for me?
What is it?
When you bought Jumbo King Vada Pav for everybody on the set of the doorbell.
Till date, I love that vada pav and I crave for it.
True, and because I didn't know that you were getting it like on your own dime. So I'm like, okay, these vada pavs are delicious. Who paid for it? And then my sister came up to me and she's like, "Arey, Akanksha paid for it." I'm like, "Oh, is it?"
What you said about earlier about the thing of people wanting to acquire things, I think that is changing now, especially with the situation that we are in, the COVID situation, because people are realizing that these things are really unnecessary, and they don't really give you the comfort where you really need them. Like, having a normal car also, you can just go out and buy your stuff. But as I've been talking to a lot of friends of mine, especially artists, um, they are having a major shift in their thinking process. So I'm actually very glad that it's not going about, I have to reach these many followers, I have to reach this, and I have to buy this at the end of this, I want to go there by the end of this year. It's changing to, let's create and let's unite people, let's get everyone together and let's take care of each other. So I think that's really been nice for me to hear.
How have the people around you, like your friends and family, inspired or influenced you?
I think the biggest influence has been my sister, because she has always tried to break the ceiling. She's always tried to, achieve more and more in her life. And now she's settled in Canada. Looking at her going after what she wanted to do is has the biggest fuel for me. And then when I moved to Gurgaon with my family, I saw other people really being themselves, and that really changed my perspective. And that had to start with being accepting the fact that I do not like being an engineer. I was fine, great at it, I got 8.5 CGPA and everything, but then there's something else that I really want to do, and I don't want to be regretting it. So it's been a lot of people like that, even my mom for that matter, how she has handled her situations in her life have been very inspiring. And then when I came across when I started dancing, and I came across other girls and guys starting out their career from scratch, with nothing in their hand. I had a family, a roof over my head, and people providing for me at that time. It was very I felt very grateful, and I was like, I should help and then grow together. So that had to be very powerful for me, because when I see people coming from nothing going to so much, so it just it's like a wake up call. It's like, why, what are you not doing something that they are doing? So then I realized that it's just, I'm not accepting that this is what I really want to do, so then why not just go after it? We might fail, we might not be good at it, but that's okay, we can pivot again. What's the harm?
The reason that I can think of coming to the US and setting up my production company and making sure that we have projects was in part due to the support that I received from my friends over here. And they said that, okay, you just focus on your work, we'll help you with setting up the company, and we'll help you with all the legal paperwork and taxes, because those
Mm.
things can become quite daunting and time consuming. It kind of like was this support from other people who saw my vision, and despite me studying economics with them, they kind of went along the idea that, okay, you want to set up a media production company and not some business consulting or something along those lines. So that, yeah, I think makes a lot of difference. And I have lived in Mumbai for 10 years, and I've seen so many people like that who come from these different parts of the country and certain parts of the world as well. And they start with nothing because, of course, maybe they don't speak the language, or they don't have the connection, or they don't have the skills, but that never stops them from going ahead and giving their best. And as you said, once people come together and help each other and grow, then that's a really wonderful thing, because you don't see that generally in a very competitive industry. So to have that understanding, I think, is really wonderful. And yeah, I think is I'm guessing your sister is elder to you, right?
Yeah, yeah, she's 9 years elder to me.
Yeah.
And she's
So
been
uh,
quite pushy about, especially the fact that I was staying in Palwal and we were not English speaking population. We were mostly just Hindi. So she would work in Delhi, then she would come back home and she would make sure that she would sit with me and make me speak English. I used to hate the lessons, but now actually she's like, you speak better English than I do. I was like, oh, that's just because you made me do it. And so these were the little things, like even in a class, if my teacher corrects how my foot goes so that I don't injure myself, these little things, I think, really really matter. That's why I always say that people together can really, do a lot. So alone an
right,
artist is nothing. So yeah, so
perfect.
I think
Yeah,
it's been
you know,
just been the community and people around me.
right. That reminds me of this scene from the Amazon Prime series called Made in Heaven, which was done by Zoya Akhtar.
Yeah.
And there is a scene where Shobita, who plays the central character, is learning English in one of these English speaking classes before like her glamorous self. And that's like this contrast between like how she was this normal Delhi girl who predominantly spoke Hindi, but then to kind of have an appeal to a different social class, she goes to these English lessons. And then she goes back after like all these years saying that I was one of you sitting here a few years back, and now my life has changed.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think those little push kind of go a long way. How would you say is your creative style different than others?
I think whatever I do, I base it on honesty. So, let's say even if it's a choreography piece, I would try and take a time of my life or a situation from my life or a person from my life that I, want to communicate to or communicate about. So that it's very true to my being and myself. So, and the same thing is like how you spoke about my first ad, Khana Khaya ad. I had not been back home for a while and I was really missing my mom. And when she's not well, I feel very bad that I'm not there with her. So for me, the full ad came from that perspective, because I am guilty of, saying, calling, when my mom calls me, I tell her that I'm working right now, because I was working 14 hours a day. I was dancing and I was acting. So for me, that ad quite like hit home. And now I make sure that I talk to her every day. So for me, every piece of work that I do comes from a very honest space. If I'm not able to connect to a piece, I would either come back, like step back from that project, or I will ask the director or the choreographer to give me different perspective if I'm not able to develop something. So yeah, that's how I do. Other people, they can just like somehow just really do sometimes, out of the blue. But for me, it's, I think my grounding is in that I can do. I'm a very dramatic person, but otherwise, I choose to do more honest work than more dramatic. Where you have to be like Ekta Kapoor wala style ki kya. I It's people who do it. They are very courageous. They are really good. Like I look at them and I'm like, how do you do this? Teach me also. But yeah, for me, it's very it's the grounding is honest work.
Right. Yeah. And I think most of my listeners are in the US, so they might miss the reference of Ekta Kapoor and all the dramatic close-up shots.
It's
But I'll
the
make sure to go ahead.
yeah, it's the OTT platform, like OTT work.
Even like in pre-OTT era with like serials like Kahani Ghar Ghar Ki and Kyunki Saas Bhi Kabhi Bahu Thi. These are the ones that really kind of made that like close-ups like three times in a row kind of popular.
Yeah, that's
uh,
Ekta Kapoor.
yeah, that's like signature Ekta Kapoor shot. But
Yeah.
I remember from when we were creating character for Ria, which is the female lead in the Doorbell, I
Mhm.
remember you asking me that what are the core traits, what are the characteristics of this person, and we had this
Hmm.
long call about like how she is a very sensitive person, but also very good at doing her job in the office. And once you had that idea, you're like, okay, I know who this person is and I think I can do it. So
Yeah.
that was, I remember that. But then I remember I kept kind of like giving you references like, oh, you should do it this way, or you should do it that way, and you were like, you know don't give me these references, like let me come up with the character on my own, because that will be more honest and more reflective of my understanding of the character, and not trying to match the references that you're sending me.
Hmm.
And I thought for a moment that why would you not take this help that I'm giving you. But
Hmm.
now after like couple of years I realized that it was because you really wanted to give your best to the character, and not be the lazy actor and say that acha, okay, if it is to match this thing, I can do that very easily. I realized that later on, that some actors are
Mhm.
very happy with like these references, and they're like, yeah, sure, I'll do
Hmm.
it. But those are the ones that do not have the versatility to come up with the nuances themselves. And
Hmm.
now looking back, after like having this discussion with you, when I
Hmm.
see the film, I see that honesty reflected in places
Hmm.
that you wanted to reflect, and not come across as a performance that was forced or unnatural. So I think
Hmm.
props to you to kind of dedicate to that. When was the last time you tried something for the first time?
I think this full lockdown is a first time more for everything that I'm doing. I have started cooking. I am a great cook, by the way. When you come to India, I'll make rajma chawal and chole bhature for you. And I have started so I'd been wanting to do. I'd been dancing in heels, but like 2-3 inches. That doesn't count, I guess. But now I started dancing in 5-inch heels, which is very difficult, but it's too much fun. And so I'd been like, for a very long time I'd been wanting to have like a morning routine where I do my little yoga and be able to do my practice my acting exercises. So I thought, why not this take this time to set up that routine. So now that it's set up, and I've realized that I'm a morning person, and it's great for me. So I'm doing all that.
Not many people are doing that. They are just like thinking of it as a vacation, which I was for first couple of weeks.
Hmm.
But now I'm trying like my best to create as much content as possible.
Hmm.
And that has been quite a wonderful experience, because now I get to put all my crazy ideas into action, and I can just put say one excuse that hey, it was during the lockdown, so good bad doesn't matter. It's that. uh, yeah, but I see all these fancy healthy juices that you make and put it on your Insta story.
Oh,
I'm
it's
like,
really
this
good.
is great. That looks like a really good detox juice to me. And yeah, so I think that's great. Like health wise, you're keeping fit, you're cooking. Although I don't know how it works, because the unhealthy food that you eat in rajma chawal and chole bhature is then offset by the healthy juices that you drink.
Oh,
So
Rajma chawal is not unhealthy because I don't put any cream. I don't put too much oil. There is so all whatever I make in the this thing bhature. I don't really make bhature. I eat it with rice, brown rice. But it's just something I cater to my body so that I'm not putting too much nonsense.
that's a good offer. Okay, now you've said it on record, so I'll hold you up to it when I'm in Mumbai
Okay,
next time. Okay,
sure.
you said rajma chawal and chole bhature. Okay, now it's time that you fulfill that promise.
No problem. I was just saying that the fact, like, I'd been putting off the fact that social media really helps in making my work reach to people. So I used to think social media is, something that you do for followers or you want to have, I took it as a very superficial thing. But then recently my approach changed. I don't know who, I think I was talking to someone and they were talking about how people are being casted through that. And then I realized that you connected with me through Instagram, and then I realized that it's not something. Yes, I do have to be my own manager and put out my own stuff and do the marketing strategies, but it's just to put out my own work. It's not that my work is something it's being copied from somewhere. It's my genuine, my honest work that should go out. So since then my perspective has changed, and now how I approach to my day is linked with social media, but not like I want to gain followers or want likes. I just want people to see this is what is happening, and if they want to connect and work together, great, let's do it.
What kind of impact would you like to see your work have on people?
I would like people to start empathizing more, because I think it's not that people cannot communicate, or people don't see things happening, or it's just, I think there's just general lack of empathy amongst people, because they think it's not their responsibility, or maybe what can they do about it. But to even understand the other side of a situation, to empathize with it is it's a rare quality. But when I feel that a person has been touched by my work, or have it has made them think, or in general. So recently I did a play called Stop Kiss. It's a New York based play actually, and we adapted it to Mumbai city. And it is about two lesbians, and I think it was one of the most difficult works that I've done, because for me, I was just not able to understand a lot of things. But then somehow one day my perspective changed. Some things changed in a workshop the director was taking. And I was like, wow, if people could, really take something like just humanize the homosexuality, it would be an honor for me. So after my last performance, which was on 12th January, a lot of people really seemed touched by how me and my co-actor portrayed the love story. And for me, I was like, I am done with the play now. So and I'd been doing that play for a year, but somehow it was feeling like there's some for work which is not done yet. So that is when I realized that till the time I do not reach the audience, till that time it doesn't become that honest, that people can really see, they get a different perspective. Okay, this is what it is. Then I would like to do that. I would like to um, get that perspective in their mind.
I saw the trailer of Stop Kiss and I really wanted to watch it, so I just kept nagging you with like, "Do you have a video of it? Do you have a recording of it?"
No, the people
uh,
couldn't record because it's quite expensive at that time. But let's see what happens. I might do it again.
yeah.
Yeah, let's see.
Yeah, well, make sure to invite me because I've seen your theater performances also, and this was, I think, between you coming on board as Ria for the doorbell and before we actually began filming. So I got to see that range and the nuances through which you perform, and that again was really helpful for me to help you direct on set and how I want to portray that character. So yeah, I think the biggest thing that I love about theater is that people are so dedicated and so passionate about it. I have a lot of respect for theater artists because they really kind of, have that strong love for the art form and it is reflected in their work.
It's by because honestly, like, if I have to say, my education helped me in mugging up the lines, because I can mug up the lines really quickly. But the only so how you were talking about the theater people loving, I when I work with in theater, I see the amount of work it requires. It requires that kind of dedication. If you cannot put it in, your result doesn't come out. And when you put in that many hours, it becomes like your baby. It becomes like the only thing at that moment. And then to be one with that production in that moment it's the most wonderful thing. So I think it is a very addictive process, I feel. So I think all comes from that thrill and the being on stage and performing, and it being your baby. It's everything.
Always a fan of your performances and I really hope that we get to work again soon.
Yes, so
Um,
do I.
but you'll have to impress me with your rajma chawal, otherwise the deal is off the table.
Why not cast me in a character of a chef?
That will be your audition.
Yes.
All right, so that brings us to our last question. What's next? What are the exciting ideas or projects that you're working on, and what can the listeners expect from you going ahead?
I hope to come to New York and work. Just putting it out in the universe. Next is mostly I'm going to do my dance movement therapy course, and I'm also I started doing self portrait photography. It's very different. It's very new, and I've had like a lot of ideas for a very long time, but now I'm venturing into it full, like not full time, but just I'm gonna do it on a regular basis. Let's see where it takes us. So I'm right now trying to diversify and see where everything takes me. I'm like thinking of taking up next to next year a course of management of arts, because I really feel that there's a lot of chaos in India in terms of arts. So I have a lot of ideas, but I think I'm short on, being able to execute them. So I would want to get some educational background for that. So I think there's a lot on my plate that I've put, but yes, we gonna do it.
Even when I was studying at Harvard, there were so many people from artistic backgrounds, and I would ask them that, you are so good at whatever you are doing, be it like dancing or acting. Why are you studying business management? And they said that, being good at what you do artistically is one thing, but then to know how you can take your ideas further ahead, and understanding the whole production and the distribution part of it really gives us the strength that the other artists do not have. And so if we are more rounded that way, then we stand out. And studio executives or other producers then feel more comfortable in trusting us, because we already have our art form to speak for our talent. But if you can layer it with your business education or understanding of how arts are managed, then it gives them the kind of trust that, okay, this person is empathetic towards what I have to also face. And as you said, right, going back to the point of your empathy, is that you want more people to empathize with the artist and their work. And I think that is now gradually happening, because more and more voices are giving an idea of what it is to be an actor or a choreographer. And we get to see more of behind the scenes than we used to. So that illusion that acting is like an easy way out has been broken, and people know that, okay, people used to take that up as like a backup profession, and now people are approaching it very
Hmm.
seriously, and because it requires that kind of
Hmm.
work.
True.
So yeah, I think that's great. Coming to New York is, I think, I think that would do you really good, because you have also performed in Canada. And if you
Yeah.
come and do something in New York, then I think you will kind of start to build your audience base here. And I think once you connect your vibe with them, I think people here are very passionate lovers of art. So be it like films or podcasts or anything, they just like, once they connect with it, they go all in,
Hmm.
wholeheartedly. And I see that with my podcast, like this podcast, when a lot of people reach out to me and say that, hey, I heard this on your podcast and that really helped me, or I found my co-founder through your
That's
podcast,
so
or I got a
nice.
promotion at work. Yeah, and it's good to see that it is making a difference to people's lives, and you are able to affect those changes surely by doing what you love doing. So there couldn't be anything better than that you are doing it for yourself because you love doing it, but it also indirectly makes a difference to people's life. Thank you, and uh, keep in touch,
Yes.
and looking forward to that rajma
Yeah,
chawal.
I am. Thank you so much for having me. It's a very pleasant surprise that you wanted to interview me. It's very sweet of you.